to come in and converse tonight with Geoffrey in the opening part of an hour on the subject of his new book. His latest book is Two of Us, John Lennon, Paul McCartney, Behind the Myths. Jeff, often referred to as the fifth Beatle by Geoffrey Giuliano. he was that close to them, and of late come to understand he has come to be an ex officio spokesman for the organization PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, friends to the animals everywhere, protectors of wildlife, maybe an official spokesman. I don't know for sure. We'll find out. And surely, as it is my wont, I want to pause to pay my particular respects here and give thanks especially for their expression of encouragement to Frank and Liz out on Bellhurst in the town of Tonawanda. Please know it was appreciated, and please know, too, that it's O-T-T-O, Liz and Frank, but it got to me, in any event, in good order. And it's good to know the program has such staunch friends on Bellhurst. Let us bring him on so long as the connection is made, and I'm delighted at that. Thanks, Rich Root. Thanks, Rich Root. Waiting in the wings, the dynamic duo himself, Geoffrey Giuliano. Well, I think it's the split personality that misleads people and leads them to that conclusion. A dynamic duo is he. Here's Geoffrey Giuliano. Geoffrey, are you there?
Jonathan.
Geoffrey.
How are you, dear boy?
Oh, great, I should say. We probably caught up with you, knowing you, between flights to London and...
Well, I've just returned from Nepal within the last week.
That's where you've been, in Nepal. Now, tell us, how blows the wind in Nepal?
Well, I was staying in Kathmandu in the former palace of the Queen's, the current Queen's father, now deceased.
Were you really?
Now a hotel, and right outside my window every morning, the firing squad used to practice, hone their craft.
Oh, for heaven's sake!
Yeah, there's a apparently there's an official Royal Nepalese firing squad, and there's a wall in between the hotel and then the current palace, and they would practice every morning. And I will tell you, just the most outrageous thing, if that isn't enough.
Yeah, practice only. They never went through a genuine
I don't know.
execution.
Listen, I could have been the subject of one of their sessions,
I should think so.
predicated on an event which happened. I was in a remote township just outside Kathmandu, and I went in and bought a CD of some, Nepalese folk music.
Yes, I love that.
Well, yes, I know you do.
Sure.
In fact, I was bringing it home for you.
Well, I'm very fond of it. Good.
And listen, I went back to the hotel, and I was thinking, I've got a lot of stuff. Should I really take the jewel case, the plastic, jewel case back, or should I just take the CD back? Because I had a little zipper thing I could put it in. Anyway, long story short, I decided, after oscillating back and forth for a few moments, that I should, in fact, simply take the CD home and jettison the jewel case. Well, when I did so, in other words, when I took the CD out of the jewel case, out from underneath the hinge on the jewel case, dropped I guess I could liken it to a small piece of tubing that one would have use in aquariums here in the United States. So just a clear plastic tube with about 3 inches in length, which were singed or melted at both ends, and inside was a light brown powder.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Yes, measuring, we found, to be exactly 1 gram. Now, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, there's 32 grams in an ounce. So if you were to secret in just 32 CDs, which doesn't take up a whole hell of a lot of space, this powder of unknown origin, you'd have an ounce of pure, and I believe that it was, in fact, brown heroin.
Yeah, it sounds like heroin to me.
And so what we cut open the tube, and we measured it, and we poked around with a little Swiss Army knife, and then we flushed it down the toilet. Well, then I got to thinking, maybe there's more somehow in my luggage. So we tore the luggage apart, And then finally we got to the airport. The final chapter went to the airport, and there was a sign up there, and it said something to this effect. If, in fact, you've availed yourself of any of the fine brown heroin that is in, in such grand supply here in Nepal.
Really?
Get rid of it now, because if we catch you, you may be beheaded. So, I mean, here I was in Kathmandu. I haven't touched drugs in 20-something years and, abhor them. And I was almost, could have been, beheaded.
Yes,
through no fault of my own.
What a tale you tell. Raconteur, Geoffrey.
Every word is true. Now you may say, well, how did the heroin get in there? What was it doing in there? And this is all I can surmise. That indeed, one of that somebody was using these CDs to smuggle the heroin out of Nepal, and then one of the dirty ones, quote unquote, one of the ones that had the stuff inside, got thrown onto the regular record shelf and sold to the general public. That is me.
Unintentionally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, for heaven, thank you.
And we even took a photograph of it. I mean, it's an absolutely true story.
Thank the good Harry, you were not apprehended.
And I just bet, being the world-famous, acclaimed author that I am, were I to have been arrested and then subsequently beheaded, that my supporters here in the United States would have been nil except, my friend, for you. I know that you would have stood by me. I know that you never would have believed that I, Geoffrey Giuliano, would have been involved in the smuggling of heroin out of
Never.
Nepal.
I really would not have believed it. Such a grisly business you describe. I'd much prefer you had been executed outside your hotel room. But at the same time, that's hard. Oh, gee, Geoffrey. Nepal, you better explain that part of you.
But John, that's my life. That's the kind of life I live, baby.
Yeah, but you better explain why Nepal, why the Far East.
We'll
You're
do that
captivated.
after the weather, the sports, or some kind of rude interruption, which I know you're going to throw a heap upon me now.
Well, that's true, but it's a great tale for openers, I'll tell you that. Talking to him tonight in his Lockport villa, about to take off for New York in consultation with your publisher, or you're so cosmopolitan. Are you due to sail on the morning tide anywhere?
Well, I'm going to be celebrating the millennium in Rishikesh, India, which is famous or infamous as the place where the Beatles attended court with the Maharishi back in the summer of 1967.
Exactly.
And I favor Asia these days. I really do. I'm not so. I don't look with such great favor upon my own country. Sad to say, I'm a bit of an expatriate.
But you were caught up in their religious mysticism the last time.
Yes, I'm a bona fide cult member, I believe, at this stage, or as the Lockport police would have you believe, a cult leader in search of a cult.
Listen, it's great to hear that chortle, and it's great to hear these stories. Once again, your listenership, Geoffrey Giuliano. We're at 886-6450, and there's these.
When you hear John Otto, you're hearing the Dean of Western New York Talk Radio on WGR News Radio 55.
I blush to have them say, when you hear Geoffrey Giuliano, you've got raconteur, author, world traveler, and also a consultant to Peter. We'll touch base on that.
And suspected heroin smuggler.
Yes. Oh, deliver me from.
At least we forget.
Deliver me from Kathmandu Brown. Boy, how awful. We have for those as may not be totally aware of your full body of work.
And quite a body it is.
Oh, let us have a review.
In girth, anyway.
Well, you haven't put on, have you?
No, actually, I've lost.
I hope so. They always said that of Geoffrey, but it's not true. He's a winner. He's a winner. Let us have a review of your books.
Well, there's 18. It's 18.
Are there 18?
Hold on. 18 on the Beatles, and I think 20 in all. Let's see. It's 20 books published worldwide, 54 spoken word CDs, 1 video documentary, and 32 spoken word cassettes, as well as a host of other newer projects I've done. I'm doing one on Muhammad Ali, just finished one on Michael Jordan for other companies.
Really?
Including Random House,
HarperCollins,
et cetera, et cetera. So, I'm your standard A-type baby boomer underachiever.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
You know how it is.
Now, have you consulted with, have you visited, I know this isn't always necessary in your case, but have you visited Muhammad Ali to interview him as best you can?
No, but I have, God, I just have unlimited respect for that man. I mean, that there is a person who's certainly has transcended. I mean, he's uneducated. He's not as perhaps well-spoken as you or I, but he has a charisma and a quality and an honesty about him that is just incredible. I mean, even people that can't stand boxing just love this guy, and I think, that he just gets more lovable every year, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think I have to agree. About Jordan, do you plan to interview him?
No, but you got to understand, pal, that I'm just a bottom feeder,
Yeah.
I'm just one of those guys that attaches himself, like those birds in Africa that suck onto the bottom of a water buffalo.
Yeah.
And just feed on the algae that slips down between their toes or something.
Well,
I'm not really one of the jet set, only in as much as when I happen to wrangle a little money out of corporate America, I utilize it in creative ways which are good for me and I think good for others. For instance, I have long established for 2 years an organization here in Lockport, funded totally by myself and my good lady wife, Rinda, called DASA Food for All. And it's a free vegetarian food bank. Anyone at all, no qualifications are necessary, can come round to my house here in Lockport and drive away with a car full of free vegetarian foodstuffs. Not prepared, but just, the basic stuff.
What's the significance of dasa?
Dasa is a Sanskrit word. It means service.
I see.
We are here in service to all.
Oh, isn't that...
Great and small.
Isn't that magnanimous? How do you approach, then, without interviewing the subject, how do you approach a biography of Michael Jordan?
Well, how did I write all these books and do all these other things, man?
Well...
I go to this library. It's boring. You don't really want to hear that. I don't talk about that. I just get them from research places. It's not a big deal.
But it's already a deal.
This is what I do for money. But what I do for money is not my passion. The secret and the interesting thing, I believe, feature of my life is what I then do with the money that I get from these sort of boring, corporate America, daring daylight robberies that I've pulled off all these many years.
Yeah, I do want to talk to you, however, about this labor of love in particular of yours, and where you refer to the Beatles. You were no bottom feeder there. You were a bosom buddy of the Genuine article.
Yes, well, I've crossed their paths and broken bread with them on one or two occasions over the years. Yes, sir, that is true.
One or two occasions?
Guilty as charged.
Now, I thought you'd bunked with them, as a matter of fact. I thought you...
I've breeded with them.
No, but
Why stop there?
I thought for sure... It was my understanding that you were very close to them, but again, you picked up most of what you know about them from research.
No, I mean, the Beatles, the most famous person that I've ever had any kind of sustained relationship would have to be Pete Townsend from The Who.
Oh, really?
I did write a book about for Dutton called Behind Blue Eyes. We've had a kind of on-again, off-again relationship for the last, 20-something years.
Yeah.
And, but famous people I have known is not particularly of any great interest to me, but far.
Well, it's terribly interesting to others who want to hear.
Well, perhaps, but
what are they really like?
Well, they're just all sort of jaded and too much money and not enough to do, and constantly trying to exercise their senses in some sort of self-loving way and self-serving. I mean, famous people are kind of crappy, really, when you really. I think. I mean, there's something that motivates people to go out and try to get the whole world to love them, as opposed to one good woman or, So I think there's a sort of a weak link in the chain, or a kind of a wiring deficiency there in the brain that makes people have to feel that they need the love and approbation of millions. Don't you?
Yes, can you imagine?
Not like us at all, right?
Can you imagine we've got headlines in the news and an announcement or two to follow? Hold the phone, 886-6450. The cellular one, incidentally, is star 55-1. Your Frontier Cellular to talk to Geoffrey Giuliano, star 55. And the long-distance freebie, 1-800-550-8227. By all means, we'll look after you following these.
When you need to know about the things that affect your life.
After the chain reaction crash on the 190 that left 6 people dead, lawsuits are being filed.
Hillary Clinton reportedly has said she doesn't want to be in the same room with Bill Clinton.
Services for Father Nelson Baker as he approaches sainthood.
When you need to know, depend on News Radio 55, WGR, Buffalo.
At 10:30, weather on the 10s from Buffalo's official weather station. Cloudy tonight with scattered snow showers, the low 15. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy with a chance of snow showers, the high 28. Tomorrow night, mostly cloudy, the low 20 degrees, and becoming partly sunny on Saturday, the high 35. It's 27 degrees and fair in Buffalo. I'm Rich Roots, WGR News Radio 55. Here are the stories we're working on this hour. An arrest made in threatening packages to the Hamilton Spectator. Father Nelson Baker is entombed in the Basilica. And the Sabres make a big trade. We'll have complete details at 11 o'clock. I'm Rich Roots, WGR News Radio 55.
When you hear Geoffrey Giuliano, you're listening to the author of, count 'em, 20 books, latest of which is Two of Us, John Lennon and Paul McCartney, Behind the Myths. Now, I have to be very frank to say, we know... I can't imagine what there is remaining to be divulged about the Fab Four.
Well, it's a very thin book, John.
Is it? Yeah, we know.
Just 10 pages.
It's considerably more. I'm sure only by a prestigious publisher.
It's from Penguin Studio Books.
Really? Now that impresses me. My gosh, prestigious. Everybody knows Penguin. We know also they shot up in the loo at Buckingham Palace.
No, they didn't. They had a little smoke of pot.
Truly?
But to be honest with you, I'm going around to your way of thinking. It's probably commensurate. You know, it's a little smoke of pot and a jab in the old forearm. It seems to be somewhat commensurate. Really, when you get right down to it, intoxication is intoxication. Illicit as it is.
We know they thought they were bigger than Jesus. We know that John on a lark was observed walking stalkers one day on the streets of Hamburg, Germany, with only an umbrella. What else is there possibly to know about the two of us, as a matter of fact, Lennon and McCartney?
Well, I'll only answer that question predicated on your promise that after we get through this, wade through this wasteland together, that we will get a chance to talk about a subject much nearer and dearer to my heart, which is, in fact, animal rights.
Animal rights.
Vegetarianism.
We're going to do that.
All right. Well, in that case, I'll answer your question.
I promise.
John Lennon and Paul McCartney were bonded by the fact that they both lost their mothers at a very early age. Paul's mom to breast cancer and John's to an automobile accident. This bonded them initially, and then the music was the vehicle through which this relationship came to fruition, and just by incredible kind of collision of circumstance, these two guys were the driving force behind the Beatles, and suddenly these kids had the whole world at their feet.
Yeah.
And which, again, I remind you of my point that those who seek the limelight may be under suspicion for some kind of emotional retardation in which they do feel that they need the love and approbation of millions. So then we go from there. We take that initial bonding to having the whole world at their feet to then marrying these two motherly types. John Lennon just blatantly used to refer in the last years of his miserable life, there in the Dakota, bird in a gilded cage that he was, he used to refer to Yoko as Mommy.
Mommy is not
and, you know, that really just raises a few red flags in my mind.
I suppose that's true. It's Freudian.
And all the people that I've interviewed in relation to Paul and Linda McCartney's marriage, and God rest her soul,
yes,
is tell me, and these are people like Denny and JoJo Lane from Wings, and Angela and Ruth McCartney, who are respectively Paul's stepmother and adopted younger sister, that they had a very kind of asexual mother and son relationship.
Truly.
So my hypothesis, after all my 20 years of meditating on this subject, is that they were kind of sexually retarded, kind of really emotionally frozen guys that kind of just swam together any port in a storm when their mums died, and all this incredible stuff happened around them.
Yeah. From the title, one would imagine that there are things revelatory in the book, never known before. I suppose that's true. Behind
either that, or they're just very good at making up titles down at Penguin.
No, but is there anything of many? Now, I don't want you to give away the entire substance of the book, of course, but any story about them that is in the book that was hitherto unknown?
Well, yes, but I don't think it would be appropriate at this juncture, as George Bush was alleged to have said by Dana Carvey, not appropriate at this juncture.
You don't want to give it away.
Reveal those for free on the air with a guy like you.
Better
sure. That the listenership go out and fork down $24.95 for a copy of the book.
Okay, sure. We'll pass on that then. I withdraw the question, Your Honor. I do, sure, no question about it. And we'll proceed then to inquire into so much for your current work, $24.95, Penguin Books, the publisher.
Penguin Studio Books.
Penguin
Slight
Studio.
distinction there.
There is.
Well, it's just a different part of the building, really.
Is this a British publisher?
No. It's down in Greenwich Village in New York.
Penguin Books used to be British, I think.
Well, no, it's a British-owned company, but they've been purchased by Bertelsmann, so more boring detail.
Well, so much of that. People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, tell us exactly.
Fine organization.
What is your connection with them?
Well,
are you now, or have you ever?
Some of your listenership that have availed themselves of my rather expansive, extensive website, which has been up for the last couple of years, will know that I used to be Ronald McDonald on the television commercials and in public appearances throughout Canada from 1980 to 1981.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that. Well, I graduated from Brockport University with a master's degree in acting and didn't have a job, but in fact had 2 kids at that point. My life was very, very suspect for a long time. Yeah. I never thought I'd make a dime. It turned out okay, but for a while there, everybody was wondering in the family. Anyway, so I did actually get this job as Ronald McDonald, beat out 400 people or whatever it was. Yeah. Moved up to Toronto, and I was Ronald McDonald. Now, what was interesting about that was the fact that they were all such. Well, I can't say it. The word that I would like to say. I'll just say they were all sort of miscreants up there, and that I came to realize that they had very little interest in Ronald McDonald House as a charity to help dying children, beyond the fact that it would help to increase the public's awareness of their quote-unquote goods, products, and services. So now I may cast a jaundiced eye on the McDonald Corporation, dear listeners, but in fact I had the singular occasion to be right on the inside as Ronald McDonald, as the very deity, the personification of meat eating on this planet. Well, the whole time I was a vegetarian, so I didn't feel quite right about that. Felt rather hypocritical, but I really needed the job.
Yeah, but only 81. This isn't sour grapes by any chance.
No. Sour grapes for what? Losing a $25,000 a year job?
That's what I was suggesting, yes.
Yeah, no, not at all. What it is a very large corporation that makes its money purely and completely on the wholesale slaughter of absolutely innocent factory farm animals, and I just think that is abhorrent. I mean, Benjamin Franklin once said, I do feel that spiritual progress does demand at some stage that we should cease to kill our fellow creatures for the satisfaction of our bodily wants. Sorry, that was Gandhi. It was Benjamin Franklin that said flesh eating is unprovoked murder. Rather stronger words
did he
from
really?
Benjamin. Yeah.
He was a vegan too.
Well, I'm not actually a vegan. I'm a lacto-vegetarian. But amongst the famous vegetarians through history are Leonardo da Vinci, Leo Tolstoy. Sorry, it's late. Henry David Thoreau, Albert Einstein, George Bernard Shaw.
All of those.
Cardinal John Newman, Richard Wagner.
Never, you say.
And so St. Francis, obviously, and just on and on and on.
Well, I can imagine Richard Ricard.
Pythagoras. Yeah.
Then the rumors are wrong. He loved tearing into a haunch of venison.
No, that was Mrs. Pythagoras.
I see. Okay.
He loved tearing into her. Do we have any calls yet?
No.
Not a one.
I'm sorry, there will be.
Oh, all right.
There will be. I can almost.
My family's lined up with a pocket full of quarters around the corner. So.
Yeah. No. The more you talk about your vegetarian.
Albert Schweitzer.
Albert Schweitzer.
He was one. Now, what did Albert say? I'm on my website right now having a look. He said here, ethics has not only to do with mankind, but with the animal creation as well. This is witnessed in the purpose of St. Francis. Thus we shall arrive that ethics is reverence for all life. That is the ethic of love widened universally. It is the ethic of Jesus now recognized as a necessity of thought. Only a universal ethic which embraces every living creature can put us in touch with the universe and the will which is there manifest. I mean, Jesus, I think, said it best. As ye do to the least of my creatures, ye do to me.
Oh, well, now when he said creatures, you're sure he was including animal life?
I think so.
Yeah.
No, I think that those manifestations of life that we refer to as animals require even more care and stewardship, than other species. And in fact, some may argue that the Bible says we have dominion. They flaunt the word dominion, but dominion means, by definition, care and stewardship, not wholesale slaughter. So as I get older, I tell people that I've come out of the closet. Yeah. At 45, my advice to people is, if you're gay, go down to the mall, and you feel so moved.
Yeah.
Go down to the mall, put on a pair of pumps, put on a wig, and go down to the big and tall women's section and buy yourself some clothes and just swing it through the mall. I mean, whatever you are, be that. And what I am at 45 is a guy that doesn't like to see any unnecessary harm come to any innocent creature, sir.
Oh, isn't that beautifully put, I should say. I must indicate I have undergone something of a change of heart regarding the people of Amherst and other residents of other suburbs and those who travel through them about the beer gut. No, let me change that. The deer glut is what I meant to say. No, I was a little joke there. For I have been altogether too flip in the past about this.
You're a flip man.
Well,
that's one of the reasons we love you.
Oh, isn't that swell?
There's a depth to your flippancy.
But I've been altogether too unwilling to agree with those who say something has to be done and soon now. It's only that those who talk that way always follow up with shoot 'em. Just shoot 'em all. Does die in their tracks. Stags stumble and fall with bullets in them. These beautiful creatures of the woodlands, their death wholesale is being called for in the suburbs. Clip Smith only today traveling into Buffalo from Lockport, your home where your villa is presently located and has been for years. He noticed no fewer than 6 of these deer alongside the main stem.
Well, I have to say, as much as I love Clip, that I was speaking to a fellow called Bruce, who's my contact at PETA, who said that he said he had a very nasty interview on WGR and warned me to be careful. And I said, well, who was the interviewer? And he said, I don't know, somebody called Clip Smith.
Oh, never did he really?
That's what he said, according to Bruce now. Now, of course, my experience with Clip is absolutely diametrically opposed to that. I love Clip, and I don't know what he eats for dinner, but I would suspect that most people in the United States, and one of the reasons I like Asia so much is that the acculturation of meat eating and violence on the end of every fork and in every bite is not as rampant as it is here in America. See, I think Americans are really wonderfully big-hearted people, but we've all just been acculturated. This is not a I think. This is a fact. I challenge anyone to take issue with this, that everybody in America, generally, so to speak, has been acculturated to simply eat meat, because we opened our mouths when we were kids, and Mommy didn't say, now, honey, would you like to be a vegan? Would you like to be a lacto-vegetarian or fruitarian?
Yeah.
Or would you like to eat meat? Now, tell me what you want. Now, shut up. Here's the Chef Boyardee spaghetti and meatballs, Dinty Moore beef stew,
Oh, sure.
two of my favorites as a kid.
Was it really?
And there you go. This is what you eat. And, nobody thought, oh, my God, a dead cow in tomato sauce. And we didn't have that consciousness. But as society moves forward, and as the consciousness becomes refined collectively here in America, I mean, we're always going on about these rights and those rights and these people's rights and everything. We're such a rights-conscious society.
Yes.
Then why not kind of put a little bit of that on the poor animals? Because,
Animal rights.
I mean, come on, when you're a kid, your mommy. We used to go to something. I don't know if I think it still exists. Something called Lollipop Farm in Rochester.
I don't know it.
And we would go there with the nursery school. Now, here's the little llama, pet the llama. Here's the lamb. Here's the little cats here in the barn, and and the little goats and chicks.
Adorable.
All right, come on, let's beat it. We got to get a burger. I mean, where's the disconnect in people's minds that these animals are fine and cute and cuddly and pets, like our dogs, cats, goldfish, etc., but these cows, chickens, and pigs, we slit their throat, we hang them up to dry, and we eat their bodies.
Oh, you're just warming up to the subject. We got to take a break. We got a call for you that'll happen directly following after the announcement or two. Geoffrey Giuliano, your contact at 886-6450, let me say. The cellular one number is star 551. Frontier Cellular is star 55. And the long-distance beauty that I assume Linda's using from Toronto, 1-800
News Radio 55.
Now, as promised, to Toronto we go, and Linda, are you there? Come in on the radio, Linda.
Hello.
John.
Linda, come in and meet Geoffrey Giuliano. Go right ahead.
All right.
It's an event you'll never forget, a lifetime event.
If you don't mind, I would just like to read a little bit out of the front page of the Globe and Mail. This is the newspaper in Toronto.
Oh, sure.
Here. And I'll just tell you what our wonderful federal government is about to do. Now, you think you have a bad government? Just listen up. The federal government wants hunters to kill as many as half of Canada's snow geese.
Snow geese? Oh.
Because it feels that the birds have adapted too successfully to human alteration of their environment and must be slaughtered for the species' own good. Environment Canada, and I'll just editorialize here, that wonderful organization that has overseen the destruction of all our cod and so forth, is proposing a spring hunt for the birds and wants hunters to be allowed to mount loudspeakers in swamps and wetlands to broadcast taped goose calls, a bid to lure animals that are exceedingly wary of humans to within easy shooting range. The proposal would also allow wider use of bait.
Oh, how frightful. Now, this is...
this is our wonderful government, right?
They are found to be a nuisance, are they?
Well...
They're dumping on the golf courses?
Well, no. It's what they're saying is that, there are 2 points of view. There's this marvelous individual called Steve Once. Now, these are the kinds of people that we have to protect wildlife. So you'll see the problem we have up here.
Yeah.
This guy works for the Canadian Wildlife Service of Environment Canada, right? And he is supposedly a bird expert. And he is saying, yes, go and kill 50% of them,
Yeah.
That's akin to Janet Reno saying that we're concerned about child abuse inside the Waco compound, so let's incinerate the place, and we will then, take care of the child abuse will be unilaterally stopped.
Well, it's an interesting analogy. I don't think that the government intended to.
That's another show, John.
It is. Yes, that's true. Another program. But the slaying of the emblematic Canada snow goose.
You know, the point
Shocking.
is, there's another point of view expressed in this article, and I don't know who this man is. I think they might have cut out a paragraph by mistake, but there's a man called Mr. Estrin, and he's saying that, you know, if they, way up north, if they're breaking down the environment up there, that they will naturally decline in numbers, that this will happen naturally, and to go in, you know, the marvelous way, you know, we have controlled animal populations, to go in and kill 50% of them while also the environment has naturally degraded will mean that, you know, there will be a terrible impact.
Oh,
and
frightful.
This is the thing that I think you will object to most, John, is not just that they are killing these animals, but on the radio this evening they were talking about, apparently snow geese are very intelligent, so unlike ducks, which I like as well,
yeah.
It's
Linda,
very
bless
difficult
you.
to kill them.
We do want to continue. Do you want to carry over into the next part and hear something from Geoffrey Giuliano on this?
Sure. Whatever.
Okay, very good. Stay right there. Geoffrey, you stay as you are, and as glib and as interesting as you are. We'll be back with you following what's happening in the world. She's still there as we enter part 2 of our tripartite conference call of all interested parties. Linda in Toronto, because this is just the sort of thing PETA would wish to involve itself in, I should think, even though it be Canada, not our country. And speaking for PETA in an unofficial way, is that true, Geoffrey Giuliano? Or is it unofficial that you are as a spokesman for PETA?
Well, I think I'm an unofficial spokesman.
Okay, very good. You're not a salaried spokesman.
Absolutely not. Well, celery, yes, but perhaps a little romaine lettuce as well, being a vegetarian.
Not bad. Listen, not good, but not bad. Here's Linda. Linda in Toronto.
It's late.
Yeah, Linda. Are you
Tell
still?
me, the acronym PETA, what does it stand for again?
People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
PETA, okay.
Yep.
Because actually the snow goose, this is not the Canada goose. This is a goose that lives in the United States.
Well, we're not
this
this is an international organization, and your own Katie Lang is a big supporter of PETA, and as is our Alec Baldwin and his lovely wife. I've forgotten her name, the blonde actress there, and. Yeah, sure. All kinds of people all around the world are involved in PETA. It's an organization that involves itself in raising consciousness and bringing these issues to the fore.
Baldwin is great. He wants to hang Henry Hyde, and I bet he'd be the first in line to save the snow goose. I thought it was the Canadian goose.
No. This is this beautiful. It's got huge white wings, and it has black feathers at the end.
Yeah, but the point is, Linda, that's terrific. That and I mean, I'm seriously saying to you that it is terrific that you're bringing this issue up. But I mean, what about the chicken on the down at McDonald's? That's been turned into a nugget, something called a nugget. And what about the poor cow? And what about the poor pig? And I mean, it just goes on. I'll say, really, I mean, this is one of the things that I wonder about is the kind of, and I'm not accusing you of it, Linda, because you're obviously a broad-minded, sensitive person, but there's a disconnect that whereas with people that some animals are fine and should be protected and are endangered and are fantastic. But I mean, what's more endangered than a cow? Well, I mean, a cow does nothing but give milk to people. Most people in this world are weaned on cow's milk, and I just don't think that we have the right to artificially end the life of any creature, especially that of a cow, which nurses her own offspring, and then the whole of human society as well.
You're not in favor of shooting the woodland creatures. You want to
absolutely
emphasize,
not.
of course.
I have to buffet myself between them.
Mike Harris.
If it comes to that.
Yeah, Mike Harris called off the black bear hunt in Ontario, Linda.
Just for the spring, and they have extended the fall bear hunt.
Have they really?
Mm-hmm. And in the fall, there still are the young cubs are still with the mother, you know.
Sure.
It's just that they had so much... I mean, I don't want to...
What a sadness, this zeal to kill.
Oh,
now, John, are you just playing lip service, or do you really think
no,
that?
No, I do. I firmly believe, yes. I hate the idea of shooting, killing, anything.
It's so horrible, too, because apparently...
But do you have a problem with eating a McChicken sandwich, John?
No, I don't. Now, I understand that is a contradiction.
It is indeed, sir.
I can't explain it. I have no problem in...
It's because you can't explain it because there's no rhyme nor reason to it. It's simple acculturation. It's the part of the world where you were born. That's what they always gave you to eat.
Yeah, tonight...
And it just didn't demand much introspection.
Tonight it was Ruffy, a nice orange Ruffy, fish from the sea, fruit
You could have done just as well with a portobello mushroom sandwich, John.
Oh, come on. I like mushrooms, but not that well. It wouldn't have satisfied. Linda, thank you. Now, is there an organization who's doing anything about this in Ontario?
Well, all I can see in this article is there's a name of turns out it's a lawyer. His name is David Estrin, Estrin.
I see, yeah.
But you know, this goose lives half the time in the United States. It goes down to the southern United States, and then it returns up to the north. And apparently, unlike ducks and maybe the Canada geese, this is a really intelligent...
Yeah, it has dual citizenship, and Canada's proposing to kill...
half of them.
Half of them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Linda, we've got to move on.
Righto.
Glad to have you on. Keep in touch. Thank you. There we are. We've got coming up Daryl in Springville. Is Daryl still with us?
Hi, John.
Hi, Daryl. Very good of you to wait around because I know you've got to you've got to turn in. You've got to be up early.
Yep.
On the farm.
I got to get up early to milk my cows.
Yeah, exactly. Daryl, go right ahead, Daryl.
Okay. I'm kind of curious as to what your guest does eat.
Well,
what do I eat? I'm a lacto-vegetarian, which means
that mean you eat things that were living?
We have our own cows here. And we milk the cows, and we make things like curd and butter and yogurt and ice cream from the cows. And in addition, we eat a standard vegetarian diet, which does not include meat, fish, or eggs.
And those are living, breathing things that you're killing?
Excuse me?
Those are living, breathing things?
Absolutely.
That you're
and the law, and you're quite right, sir, and I'm glad you brought this point up. The law of nature is, in fact, that something must die so that something must live. I think the challenge to fully conscious human beings is to take away as little as possible. And as we all know, the manifestation of life and the higher sentiments of protection of one's young and the nurturing feature of the mother and all the emotions that go with and higher sentiments that we can ascribe to animals, certainly like dogs and cows and things like that, are not inherent in a rutabaga. And that's just common sense. Vegetables are not ambulatory. They certainly on a metaphysical level, perhaps, if you'll forgive me, vibrate on a lower kind of strata. You have different, I could use the simile of, or the analogy of different kind of light bulbs. You have 100-watt bulbs and you have 25-watt bulbs. And carrots and vegetables and potatoes and things like that are just not, the life is not as highly formulated, and it's just very obvious. I mean, there's as in with animals. Now, you've heard so many stories growing up about the dog who pined away after the master died, and all the heroics of animals. I mean, but you've never read a single paragraph about anyone being saved by a Brussels sprout when the ice broke in a pond. So it's pretty obvious that, yes, I know the old kind of smart-ass idea here that hey, eat potatoes, don't you? They're a living thing too. Ha ha ha. Well, it ain't the same as a lovely, wide-eyed, nurturing mother cow suckling its young.
Yeah.
Is it?
No. But you're saying you draw the line at one point, but you don't like it when people draw the line at a cow.
Wait a minute, my friend. I just told you.
I'm not your friend.
I just told you. I can see that you're not my friend, and I'm not your friend either. But I will say this to you, sir. With mutual respect, I submit to you that the law of nature, again, I say it to you, something must die so that something will live. Now, I didn't make that law. So, in other words, every time we sit down to eat, we have to kill something. But what I say is take away as little as possible. You are an omnivore genetically and biologically. That means you have the genetic choice to subsist on either a vegetable, plant-based diet or a meat-based diet or a combination of the two. And I say that common decency and simple humanity calls for any thinking, feeling, loving, conscious person to elect the nonviolent alternative, since we can do just as well on the vegetable, plant-based diet. Why take away? Why cause this unnecessary suffering to any animal or any creature?
I've got to ask a question here. Darrell, you must keep your cows pregnant at all times, mustn't you, in a state of expectancy, in a family way, in order that they shall give milk?
For 9 months.
For 9 months?
Yep.
You keep them, they're absolutely pregnant. Now, what becomes of the product of that pregnancy?
We generally raise our own.
How do you mean you raise your own?
The heifer calves we raise ourselves.
And where do the bulls go?
Bull calves, they go for a nice juicy veal steak.
That's right. You're damn right they do. And that is the type of consciousness that the American farmer entertains. And, you know, when you leave this world, you have to be responsible, just like any other living being, with the blood that's on your hands from these innocent animals. Now, if that's not an issue with you, fine, go for it. But it ain't happening here, and I'm just going to shoot my mouth off as long as I'm able to try to make people home in on this point that unnecessarily violence is absolutely moronic, stupid, and just a sophomoric thing to be involved in. We don't need to do it. We don't have to do it. We're a rich country, and we shouldn't do it. And you know better, John. You know better.
Listen to Darrell. You give him a moment.
Do you say we should shelter the animals, or we should turn them out into the cold?
What I submit to you, sir, is that we do not artificially raise all of these animals. I mean, if we stop the factory farming, I'll tell you what we do. Here's what we do, Darrell. We stop all this factory farming. We let the animals.
We're not a factory farm.
We let the animals. Now you asked me a question. Let me answer it. We let these animals live out their lifespan, and we don't do it anymore. We just keep the reasonable number of cows around, and we don't, artificially inseminate and raise them in test tubes and raise them in crates and keep the veal calf all, suspended in midair or whatever kind of aberrations they perform to keep the meat white and tender. I mean, my God, man. I mean, it's inhuman what they're doing to these poor animals.
What do you do, Geoffrey, with the baby bulls?
One of the things that you let them live out their lifespan in peace, and you stop artificially raising so many.
Do you know what a
I have a bull. Now, we have the bull castrated. He's now an ox, and he just grazes and grooves around, and he's here on the property, and he has a fine old time. And that's what I suggest that any thinking person do with. Now, if you want to train the ox, you can train the ox to pull a cart. You can train the ox to pull logs out of a swamp. Yeah. There's all kinds of things you can do with an ox.
That
doesn't involve slitting their throat and eating the meat.
Isn't that how life started out, is using the animals?
Sure, but not sure. Let me qualify that. Perhaps so, sir. But I submit to you, as the human consciousness it reaches finer levels, that this kind of unseemly behavior be jettisoned in favor of a more universally nonviolent alternative. I mean, we're a rich country. You don't, it's not that we're Eskimos and the only thing we can get is blubber, so we've got to eat meat 4 times a day. No, you can have any damn thing you want because we're a rich country. And I've been all around the world, and I can tell you that we are a rich country. And we have all kinds of alternatives. So my simple statement, and this is not rocket scientist stuff, is that we should simply elect the nonviolent alternative every time. You'll feel better. Our stewardship and dominion over the animals will be more sincere, and things will work out better. I'm quite sure of that.
Daryl, you're not about to make any headway with Geoffrey Giuliano, Daryl, I guess.
Could I ask one more question?
Sure, yeah.
How do you feel about recycling?
I think that all of these green issues and environmental issues are very important for the dwindling resources of our planet.
There you are.
So you don't want to use up the entire resource, you just want to use half of it.
I don't understand what you mean by that.
You want to use the milk, but...
And then I want to use the milk, and then I want to let the cow live in peace. You don't hurt a cow by taking the milk. In fact, you help the cow by taking the milk, because the cow would get all kinds of...
If you don't take the milk,
huh?
If you don't take the milk, she dries up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do. That's another alternative. But I mean, what's wrong with taking milk from a cow that? I mean, I've had a cow for 4 years here in Lockport.
Yeah,
and,
but you got to keep her.
We take her milk, and when she's pregnant, and if she's not pregnant, then she's dried up, and then we go buy milk. What's the problem?
But you've got to keep her pregnant in order to get.
Yeah,
the
well,
milk.
we don't do that. We don't do that.
You said you've been milking her for 4 years?
No. I said we've had the cow for 4 years. She's only had one bull, Govinda, and so when she was pregnant with after she had him, excuse me, and I'm not a farmer, we took some of the milk.
Why did you breed her in the first place?
We felt she was lonely. They're all alone, and we thought that she would want some company. So
then why didn't you adopt?
Well, that was an alternative that we looked into. We do adopt animals, and we send animals. But listen, the point is, don't try to poke holes in what I do, because I do a whole hell of a lot for animals. What do you do, Daryl? Daryl, what do you do for animal kind?
Okay, well, listen,
there you go, pal.
Listen, red light.